So it's Christmas Eve. I'm out for a walk. You can just see I'm here on the main road. You can see they're aggressively taking down the and reworking what was reserved for the electric bus system, electric bus public system. They're making basically a throughway, which is what Don and I talked about. That would be ideal. I mean, more ideal, they would have an overpass because it's just too congested and people don't drive very well. Not very safe. They don't really obey the traffic lights. You know, so you'll have, for example, you'll have a red light and it'll take a couple about 5-10 seconds for the people in the lane of the green light to start moving, because the other lane that just had their green light that turned red, there'll be stragglers, probably about 5 seconds, maybe even sometimes 10 seconds long, continuing going through the red light. It's really annoying. So you're waiting 5-10 seconds in your green light before you can go, and then unless you do what everybody else does, you could be sitting in line for multiple red lights. So you have to be somewhat aggressive here, and people they drive slow, but it's still somewhat aggressive. It's just not, they don't expect the rules. So you can see some of the road here. I give it a week. I estimate a week before the stations in the middle of the road come down, because they're absolutely useless. But yeah, it would have been better if they would have had invested in a bypass, an overpass, actually. You know, so for people to go, you know, just like Thailand. That would probably work a little better. I don't know how safe people would be on them because none really exist here in Laos. But I'm guessing that, yeah, I think it's going to be another week. Within a week, those stations come down. But yeah, my point was the amount of money they lost in putting the system up. Like I said, you can't criticize the government here. I mean, it's a communist government and you can't criticize them. But if the person, whoever's idea that was, the guy who approved it should be fired first. I mean, they obviously didn't know their country very well. They probably had some young whippersnapper in there. Great idea. Chinese were probably involved. You know, all the stuff, the manufacturing, all the equipment, everything came from China. Wheeling and dealing and making the government officials more wealthy. So yeah, it's unfortunate. The millions of dollars that went into that could have really gone to help the halal people better. You know, more developed, actual real improvements on the roads and adequate, like, especially in the city, because the red light system here doesn't work very well. Half the time the red lights aren't working, and you know, it's not to be negative, it's just that's the way it is, what it is. I'm just explaining the way it is. You know, I know sometimes it might come across a little negative, but I'm just explaining the way it is, and you know, that's what we survive in. So yeah, it's Christmas Eve and I'm feeling a little better. You know, this morning I was a bit down in the dirt, a little depressed. Holidays can do that, I guess. But like I said, what I talked about earlier, I think it was missing my family and definitely missing my dog that recently passed. That was really hard. We were looking pictures of her and remembering how such a sweet dog she was. But Da's family's at the house. They're eating. Da and I ate separately. She usually serves me separately because they sit on the floor and they talk, and I don't know what they're talking about, and they just pick the food. You know, they sit in the kitchen floor. So that's kind of, she tries to keep me out of the kitchen so I don't get annoyed. The biggest thing for them is they don't want to annoy me. They don't annoy me. They're very sweet. So they try to respect my space. Nobody interferes with me. So I was sitting at the computer working on my finances. I'm a little obsessed with them now since I spoke with that financial advisor. So I reworked my budget. And what I did was I think it really comes down to cash flow. You need to, cash flow is something I learned over the years as a finance instructor that will make or break that makes or breaks businesses. People focus on budgets, but budgets really are, an annual average. Or actually you do your annual budget. You might have accurate numbers for what the things cost throughout the year, and you might get an average monthly balance or monthly average, but that's only part of the story. That's a great start, but it's that's not really what makes or breaks an organization. It's the cash flow that people don't think about, when your money's coming in and when your money's going out. So for example, if you pay a subscription or an insurance, you pay that one time a year. And so you need that amount of money. So if I have a Microsoft subscription, it might cost me $99. The average is $10 a month. But I actually need the $99 when I pay it in December, when I get charged. Well, actually, it was my credit card, so a month later. But so what I was doing is I was going through my budget in much more detail and extracting all of the actual monthly costs: food, fuel, telephone, utilities, like restaurants, and extracting that out, and then consolidating my subscriptions, the things I pay one time a year. So my insurance and my subscriptions and my gym membership. So I grouped all of that by month. And of course, December is my biggest month, and all of those expenses are going to be paid this year. So I won't need to pay those again until next December. So those expenses, so I'll need almost $10,000 next December to pay what I'm paying this year. So the budget I'm creating is starting January. So I'll knock those big expenses out, and I won't be paying them until next December. So I did that. I grouped all of it. I know it's very geeky. I'm a finance person. This is stuff I wish I would have known what to do when I was younger. But I had a lot of flexible income. I was not sensitive to cash flow. I had the cash, and it just paid. Now I've got to manage a budget much more closely because I won't have an steady income, and I will be, I'm taking care of my wife and some other things there. So what I did was I came up with a baseline. I definitely increased my baseline. I was thinking $2,000 a month. I'm up to $3,300 a month now. The things I underestimated, I think, were, I hope I'm overestimating groceries. I have $1,500 a month, and that's because I'm feeding basically 5 people. But I'm hoping and it was costing me more when we were living in Bangkok. I still don't understand that, but now I'm home. I think we can monitor it more closely, and I will eat more Lao food rather than my specialty meats. I'll do it periodically, but I'm just going to eat whatever she gets at the market. It's still more high protein based. I don't eat many carbs. So anyway, I'm hoping that doesn't go past 1,000 a month. If that only goes to 1,000 a month, I'll be very happy about that. And then the other one is fuel for the car. I'm sure Da's going to be out in the car every day. I won't. I won't. I mean, well, she'll go to the gym, but I'm going to buy a bicycle and ride bicycle to the gym. That's just part of my workout. It's part of my method for being green, environmentally responsible, and it's close. The hard part about it is it's not very safe. Riding bicycle is, I think, more dangerous than riding a motorcycle here, because cars, they don't care. They don't see you. At least with a bike, you can be a lot quicker to get out of the way, or they're just a little more conscious of those. So anyway, I'm hoping. I put in $250 a month for that, for the car. I'm hoping it comes in under 200, because it's just going to be knocking around the city. She'll go to the market, she'll go see a friend once in a while, she'll go, and it will probably mostly be to go to the gym, which is ridiculous. I'd buy her a bike if I knew she would ride the bike, but she won't. She's not high maintenance, but there are a couple things that she does. She's a little picky about, and she'll feel safer. And I can understand that. That's my biggest thing with her. I want her to be safe. Me, I'm pretty resilient. I know how to live hard. She does too, but it's been a long time, and I don't want her to. I don't want to see her get hurt if I can avoid it. So the other things are going to be a little harder to keep down, but I'm really surprised at how much it is. But so when I extract out that baseline expenses of 3,300, that leaves annual expenses of almost 10,000 baht, $10,000, almost. That includes my insurance, the gym fit membership, which will join next month. So I have January will be my next biggest month, a little over $1,000. That's gym membership. That's some travel insurance through AAA, and another subscription. I forget what it is. And then I have the different subscriptions throughout the year, the Google and the Netflix. Well, those are reoccurring, the Google and the Netflix, Google Premium. But we pay for extra storage on Google. Her payment is July, that's $21, and mine is in December. So most of my subscriptions renew in December. So that's what I need to pay on for. So I plugged this, so I've been playing with Bolden. I've been plugging in all that separately. So I grouped my January subscription total, my February, my March, and July. Those are the only real months that I see a subscription, an annual reoccurring payment. So I put them into Bolden as one-time payments, but annually, because in a way they will be my discretionary. So I could plug them in for a year, and then next year see what my probability of success is, and then adjust accordingly. I can delete. I can delete or stop, some of the subscriptions. There will probably be, I might be able to cut about $1,000 in subscriptions next year, because I don't think I will need them anymore. 2 of them are professional, because if I don't get a job this year, the likelihood of getting a job another year with going unemployed this long is extremely low. And if that's going to happen, I just won't need those. I won't need those costs anymore that the organization was paying. So yeah, so that's what I was doing. Anyway, by doing that, And I also included travel. So I put in travel regionally. I put in like 5,000 a year. You know, we go to a trip to Thailand, we go to our home, or we make a couple trips. But I just put it in one time a year, not rather than monthly, because we won't be doing anything monthly. That doesn't make any sense. So I just put it one time a year, mid-year. I put one time a year at one trip to the US, $6,000. That should get me a economy plus seat, plus and all the other travel costs. And you know, I would only likely be going to the US to visit my sisters, and I will likely stay with my sister, so I won't need accommodation. Most likely I would only travel home twice every 2 years, not even every year. So I'll probably go in January or February this year, in 2026, and then I'm sure it will be at least another year. My younger sister's planning to come visit us at the end of next year, but we'll see. But when I go in January, February, I likely will not go for another 2 years unless something extraordinary happens. I have the flexibility with time now, so if something happens in my family with my siblings, I will probably make a trip to go visit. So I have that kind of built in. So the probabilities of my success have greatly increased by doing that. You know, taking away that monthly average and actually plotting it out a little more strategically, plotting out those bigger costs. So it greatly increased my probability. So I'm pretty happy about that. But I don't want to plan that makes it too over optimistic. You know, I'd rather be. I don't want to. My biggest concern is I don't want to cheat myself out of spending money just because I'm afraid of not running out. I want to be able to maximize my enjoyment of life. You know, reading this book, Die to Zero, has made me. It's what I wanted to do. I have no intention of leaving a legacy other than making sure God has enough money to succeed me, which I'd only expect to be another 5-10 years. You know, we don't know how much she would need, but I don't want her to run out of money with me. I'd rather leave, but I want us to enjoy it while we can. Take advantage of our youth, of our younger adult mature years, and enjoy it. So yeah, that's what I was doing today. I have an appointment to meet with I use a software called Bolden. I'm going to meet with a coach in March. He's going to analyze my inputs and in Bolden, and we're going to meet. It's a 45-minute meeting. I think it costs $250 for 45 minutes. He's going to look through all my numbers, and then he's going to meet with me to explain some things I might not understand or might be underutilizing, and then adjust from there. Because I don't want to spend a lot of time with this. You know, I already spend a lot of time with my personal finances, and that takes long enough. And I'm trying to minimize that because right now I'm going into a preservation phase, trying to keep what my portfolio is worth while still trying to make gains. But next year will be my most critical year. Oh, the other thing is I will be working with a financial group called Defining Wealth. They did a superficial plan for me, a review of my retirement situation back in March, before I knew I was going to be retired or stop working. And I'm hiring them again to give me a more comprehensive plan. It's going to cost me $3,000, but I need some more confidence in what to do and how to do it. And so I think it should be a plan that I'll be able to execute on my own for the next couple of years. It's probably a 1 or 2 year plan, because the first year in retirement, the first 5 years they say, are the most important, mostly because of sequence of events risk. That's if the market goes down, you lose value before you start drawing down on your retirement funds. That's when you really just kill your chances of success. And next year I need to start moving money out of my higher growth and my gains and profits and put them into more safer dividend paying stocks, and even cash. I'm going to need a cash bucket. I want to try to get at least 60,000 in a cash bucket by the end of the year, maybe up to 100,000. But I'm not retiring on it. I don't even have $1 million. So I did check with ChatGPT, and it said, yeah, it's pretty tight. You'd need at least $1 million to be comfortable and a bit stress free. Yeah, but I'm not there yet. And it depends on what happens this year. We'll see what happens. Anyway, it's not really how I wanted to spend my Christmas. It's been, I have a hard time of enjoying things until I get some of this off my chest and think through it. So that's what I spent the day doing. I'll go home and spend some time with Da's family till they leave. They just drink. They'll sit and eat and drink and talk the whole time. I really should be sitting there with them, listening to their Lao, because that's one of my priorities moving forward next year, is learning to speak Lao better. I'm getting there, but I need to focus on it, and I haven't been. So focus on speaking Lao, getting better, getting healthier, stronger, losing some fat, and being a little more leaner than I am now. I am concerned about my tendonitis in my knee. I'm going to have to be careful with that at the gym. I don't want to agitate that, but it mostly only hurts when I'm walking. Fortunately, it's only tendonitis and not a serious ear or knee problem, as I originally thought it was. Nung Song Sam.
Very good.
Yang.
Yang.
So here we got the bamboo soup. Here we got the, looks like some lamb. What is in here? Some pet duck. There's your duck, coagulated duck blood soup. More bamboo soup. Aniwara.
แกงปลา
Pa.
ต้มปลา
Fish soup. Some chicken fingers and turkey fingers and a lot of beer drinking. I'm just drinking some sugar-free soda, sugar-free flavored water. Yeah, so this is our Christmas evening. One more comment I wanted to make about the church service last night. So I was talking with Da about it at lunch, and she said a large number of the people in there were Hmong people. Hmong. So they're kind of like, they're Chinese descent, but living in Laos. They're kind of persecuted in China, but they tend to be Christian. My finance director, our finance person was Hmong. He was Christian, probably the only other one in the Bangkok office. But she's saying most of them were Hmong, and they were coming from outside the city. They live outside of Vientiane, so they came in. So she calls them jungle people, basically not very sophisticated. They tend to be the farmers and the uneducated. It's not condescending to say it or she calls them jungle people. That's what they call them. When I lived in Haiti, they would call the mountain people the moon mon, like mountain people. So unsophisticated people who didn't know really how to behave in the city. So she's saying a lot of that problem last night were the Hmong people, not the problem, but the chaos. They weren't used to being in a church. They just not really orderly. They don't know how to interact with the city, the etiquette inside in a place like that. So that's how she explained it. But they went because most of them were Christian and they wanted to have a Christian service. I'm happy for that. It just was some of it was I think the talking is unnecessary. Someone should calm that down. So I'm going out here. I'm going to eat dinner. Have some bamboo soup with my Lao family for Christmas evening dinner. One thing I wanted to note here is, so I had Christmas music playing earlier today, and I asked if she could take the speaker out, and now they're just playing they're playing Lao music. So the one thing that you notice here too is the one party is the same everywhere you go. The way they don't have special meals for Christmas or with the holidays. They eat the same thing. So you don't even know what holiday it is by the meal and the way they are. They play the same music and it's the same food. Bamboo, duck blood, liver, tap. It sounds like she just changed the music. Just as I say that. So, but yeah, they don't really have. I'm not seeing too often where there's. You can't tell what holiday it is because the way what they do and how they celebrate is all the same. They sit around, drink beer, talk, laugh, talk loud, and eat sticky rice and bamboo soup, which is what I'm going to eat, and a lot of meat and duck blood. But it's funny, she just turned on the Christmas music, and I was just going to come out and show you them eating and drinking, but I'll show that anyway. They're having a good time. I'm happy for that. But I'm surprised you're not. Tamay may bakin na tuko. Why don't they eat inside? Huh?
Who eat inside?
No one. Opening her birthday present, Christmas present for me. More clothes. More clothes. It's the new Adidas. It's the newest Adidas clothes. Adidas.
That's amazing.
The lady said if they don't fit, you can bring them back.
Thank you, my sweetie. Merry Christmas.
For the gym.
Gym,
Be warm. Jeez, I thought that was... And I said you're small. You're small.
What is it?
Yeah, small.
Perfect.
I hope so. Put it on before you take the numbers off. This is Choice of Winding Down Chronicles. I'm unofficially in retirement. I've got 7 days left until the end of the year. 7 days left until officially early retirement. Over and out. Take it slow and God bless.